that nature, things of 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 that nature.
And welcome into the Pod of That Nature Transfer Portal Special Edition live stream on a random Saturday in December. I don't know what to call it, but that's what we're calling it. I'm John Neighbors alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis. And this is going to be an interesting one because unfortunately, Razorback fans, is not a stream where we're going on and about a big pop that Arkansas got a big commitment, but instead it's about a particular thing where arguably your three best players that entered into the transfer portal are all going to the same place, the Ole Miss Rebels. Not only did you have Jalen Braxton deciding to take his talents there, but you also had Patrick Kudus deciding to take his talents. And the latest, guys, tight end Luke Hasz is taking his talents to Oxford, Mississippi. You truly have become a farm system for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss football.
Yeah, this is absolute insanity. And let's let the record show here, in the first minute of this, I have every intention of going live and talking about Arkansas picking up commitments if and when it happens this weekend. I'm looking forward to doing that. Typically we would hop on here and talk about guys who are leaving, but it's just like you said, when they're all going to one place, and this is a huge topic of conversation. Well, we got to converse about it. This is nuts, man. I mean, Lane Kiffin is just he's trolling, he's flexing. I don't know why he's chosen Arkansas to do this on, but it's absolute insanity, man. And at what point is it like, okay, before portal season starts every year, Sam Pittman just hops on a Zoom call with Lane Kiffin and says, hey, just project out what you might need next year out of the portal. Or, hey, are there certain guys that, you like, they might not be takes for you right now, but we'll get them plenty of reps here at Arkansas. And then you can just grab them next year. It's no big deal. What the hell is actually going on? This is crazy.
Yeah, I'm not going to be dramatic and tie all this up to like the blue light special comment, but it's hard not to acknowledge. I mean, we talked a good bit about it yesterday. I mean, this is the team that you were playing when Sam Pittman said, oh yeah, they got all Louis V over there and we've got blue light special. And he was talking about offensive line and, he was just talking about the game they were playing. I don't think that was Sam Pittman's way of saying, yeah, they'll pay all of our best players money to come play for them. But it just, again, if you're a Razorback fan, if you're a Razorback observer, if you're within the program, it's a slap in the face. It's embarrassing and it's disrespectful. And look, I would love to, I've seen some people that are like, playing the tampering card, and clearly there's some heavy tampering going on. Yeah. And look, I don't know if Arkansas has a mole or what, but clearly Ole Miss has reached out to these guys prior to them entering the portal. I mean, Sam Pittman himself said that these players go to him and they know exactly where they're going and they know exactly what they're going to get. And Sam Pittman kind of called their bluff, I guess, and was like, yeah, go ahead, enter the portal. Well, they entered the portal and they went to Ole Miss. And I don't know what all these guys are getting paid, but I just think it's a really bad look for your program where you're publicly saying we are not going to pay these guys what they're asking for. We think we can do better in the portal, and you see all these guys go to Ole Miss. I know we didn't even mention Brad Spence, who also committed to Texas this morning. So again, it's just a tough one. And look, I know that you can do a case by case thing and say, oh well, Patrick Kudus, he didn't play that much. Do we really want him? Jalen Braxton, he only played 2 games. Do you really want him? Luke Hasz was banged up a lot. But here's my question to you, Hog fans. What would be, if going into this offseason, what were the players that you were like, hey, Arkansas needs to keep? I would really like to see Arkansas keep them. I would assume these 3-4 players would probably be on that list. I just don't know how we're not all on the same page that this is bad and this is a horrible look for the program. And Arkansas is kind of the laughing stock of the SEC right now, at least in portal season.
Well, you throw in the fact that if it was, you lost these players all to, say like, well, I'll take this actual example. Back when Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché went to LSU, those were 2 players you didn't want to lose. And when that happened, there was a lot of frustrations, a lot of anger. But at least with that, it was like, okay, it's LSU. And okay, they're from Louisiana. You didn't like it. You don't want that to happen. But at least there's something to it to be like, okay, that can at least track. But in this particular case, there's no connections really to Mississippi. There's no connections that we know of, at least as far as, how much were they recruited by Ole Miss at a high school. Maybe there was something but this is not LSU. This isn't Alabama. This isn't Georgia. This isn't Texas. I know one of them is, but I'm talking about the Ole Miss players in specific. This is Ole Miss, a program that you have felt like for years that you should be on the same level playing field, at least when it comes to NIL, at least when it comes to the type of amenities that you have. Now, do they have a better coach in Lane Kiffin? No question about it. Have they had more success over the past 10 years? No question about it. There's no doubt about that. But we're talking about NIL. We're talking about entering into the portal and getting guys out of that. And at this point in time, just in 2 seasons, Arkansas, you have given up arguably 2 of your or 4 of your best players to Ole Miss, Chris Paul included in that, from a year ago. So this is what's really bad. I don't know what the connection is. I don't know if you mentioned a mole. Maybe there is something. Maybe there's somebody that they got on the inside talking to these kids. Maybe they got some sort of representation. I don't know, but it is a joke. And Lane Kiffin continues to troll you. He's laughing about it, and he's beating your rear end in it. And there's just nothing that you can do about it right now. There's nothing you can do. I don't know if there's any other players he's interested in, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if whoever's the next best player in the portal, like maybe he gets the Metcalf boys, like maybe he gets Nico Davier. At this point, I just assume that anybody that Arkansas has lost in the portal that was really good and they wanted to keep, Ole Miss is probably going to find a way to get them.
Well, I mean, a player is worth what somebody else is willing to pay him. Like they talked about that valuations of, it's that asking price is too much, whatever. We're not going to do that. Well, Ole Miss will. And so that now, and maybe it's something you need to consider in future endeavors, if these are guys that you're going to want to keep. Obviously, one thing I posed out there on Twitter is like, I don't know who the hell is transferring out of Ole Miss, but if I'm Sam Pittman, I'm going all in, just trying to get those dudes out of spite. And then Chris Hummer at 24/7 just put out that Ole Miss offensive line transfer Kavion Broussard is planning visits to Georgia Tech on the 16th and Arkansas on the 19th. Broussard was a top recruit in the 2024 class, drawing big interest in the portal. So I don't know if he played for Ole Miss at all, or if this is a Jaquan McCroy situation where it's a dude who was highly ranked and just didn't play. I don't care. Go get him. Any Rebel that's in the portal, go get him. This is just pissing me off, man. It's like these are turf wars all of a sudden. So you got to, and even if it's just out of spite or to be like, hey, buddy, we can do that too. Go get one of those guys, man, because this is absolute insanity. And yeah, I don't know if it's just as simple as all those guys love Pooh Paul and he's just, continuing to talk to them throughout the course of the season saying, hey, man, this is the best move I ever made. This is a great experience. Yeah, my checks are cashing on time, whatever. Come here. And it's just as simple as that. Or if it goes beyond that with, agents talking to coaches about what offers would look like and, hey, set out with this injury and we'll give you this much, kind of like Sam Pittman was hitting at. Maybe that's some of it too, but I don't think that you see this happen too often where one school within a conference is poaching several good players on an annual basis from another school within said conference. It's kind of crazy. And, for all the talk about these 6-6 football players and everything like that, like who cares if they leave? Other SEC programs do, and the ones with money do, because they're going to Ole Miss and Texas.
Yeah, if I just did a quick scan through Ole Miss's PFF page. If Broussard played for them, it was not on the offensive side of the ball. He did not record any actual snaps. Now, they said he was a highly ranked guy in the 2024 class. Anyway. I guess he would be a redshirt freshman this upcoming season. So, look, that would be a nice, again, like kind of draft and stash potential guy to throw in there. But, again, if you're just looking at it, I think Ole Miss is probably looking at that like, okay, we'll take a fourth-team offensive lineman for 3 of your best players. And guys, John, you touched on a good point here where it's like this is Ole Miss. It'd be one thing if it were Bama or if it were like, hey, they're going to Ohio State or if they're going to some like huge national brand, a program that we perceive to have a lot of money. But I've said it before throughout this offseason, I need someone to explain to me why we look at Ole Miss and the success they've had at football in the only state poorer than Arkansas, the only state dumber than Arkansas, one of the few SEC programs with less historical tradition than Arkansas. Arkansas has a better head-to-head record against Ole Miss. They have more all-time wins. Why does Arkansas look at Ole Miss and feel like they can't accomplish that? And I'm talking about the coaching staff and the fan base. The fan base doesn't seem, obviously there's a lot of fans who are upset about this, but I think there are a lot of fans who are kind of just like, oh, well, that's Ole Miss. They got the Louis V. They got Lane Kiffin. That's all fine. Like they hired their coach the same offseason you hired yours. And again, we talk about some of the guys that Arkansas should go after in the portal. And by the way, for everybody that thinks we're too doom and gloom here, like Arkansas's got a lot of guys on visits this weekend. I'd imagine at least one of them is going to pop throughout this weekend, and we will gladly cover that. And we look forward to covering some good news. We obviously did a thing for Arkansas's one portal commit so far. So I look forward to doing that. But again, it's hard for me not to notice where Arkansas's outgoing players are going. SEC top line schools. I mean, hell, even Nico Davier visiting Ole Miss, visiting Texas A&M, visiting Mississippi State. Like, I look at where Arkansas's transfers are going and where Arkansas is pulling their incoming transfers from. Obviously, Oregon's the number one team in the country, so it's cool to get a transfer from there. But again, he was not on their depth chart. It's not like a guy that you stole from Oregon. And so I see a lot of mid-majors. I see a lot of JUCO. I see a lot of D2. Like, I'm not seeing Arkansas bringing in a ton of high-level guys. And if they are coming from Power 4 schools, they're not guys that played at Power 4 schools. I think the best you can hope for is like guys that bounced around, like their receiver who was at Missouri and Oklahoma and has like 400 yards in his career or whatever. Like, that's the level of guy Arkansas is bringing in. And look, those are fine pieces. Those are nice. Like, oh, it's all good and dandy. I would just like for those pieces to be surrounding the guys you had already coming back. That was the plan going into the offseason, and you can spin zone it however you want. The Arkansas coaching staff was not prepared for this. So much so that Sam Pittman himself admitted the other day that he was surprised by some of these injuries. Hell, Patrick Kudus, he obviously preserved his red shirt thinking he was going to play for Arkansas. Jalen Braxton, they preserved his red shirt thinking he was going to play for Arkansas. And I know Luke has the guy they really highly respect and they love, and I think his exit meeting went a little awry, but you just can't really tell me that this is all part of the plan and oh no, like we're fine. I mean, we've got some situations in order. We've got a backup plan, and your backup plan appears to be a lot of Group of 5 players.
Yeah, this is a thing where you could sit here and talk about tampering, about NIL, which I think it all goes into it. But I would just went through, guys, real quick, and I know it's early, but I went through the entire SEC to see how many each school has as commitments out of the transfer portal. Ole Miss has 6. The next biggest team, which a lot of them are tied at, has 2. So what does that mean? The only thing I can think about is that Ole Miss knows what the heck they're doing when it comes to the transfer portal, and whatever they're doing is really good, and they're really good at it. This is also something that, again, just throwing it out there, not breaking any news, but just going off the assumption game, that they have gotten a little bit of a head start on this whole transfer portal thing and talking to a lot of these players. And so is anything going to happen from that? I don't know, but man, I like Lane Kiffin, and you can't hate on him because he is doing the things that he needs to do to win. But when it comes to, same guy that has the faking of injuries, he's going to do whatever it takes to win. And until you stop him and until you say or call him out, or if you have evidence of it or whatever, he's just going to keep doing it. And that's the thing that Arkansas does not have. You brought up with Sam Pittman. They're not going to do that. They, unfortunately, in a weird way, they do things the right way, as weird as it is. And they try to think that, oh, no, these kids, what they say is going to for sure be the case. No, it's not. These kids are going to go into the portal. You can't trust anybody. You can't trust anything. And Ole Miss is taking advantage of anybody and everybody who's doing that. And that, again, going back to the whole thing of why Ole Miss, I think, to me, just my reckless assumption, they just know a weakness inside the armor of Arkansas and their players, and knows how to get to them, how to talk to them, how to do it without anybody knowing, and knowing exactly how to appeal to them to make sure that they don't want to be at Arkansas anymore. They want to be at Ole Miss. Whatever it is, it's working, and it continues to work. And until something happens there differently, it seems like this is just going to be an ongoing problem.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's not just a coincidence, I mean, this is not just something that's happening out of chance. I don't know that Kudus and Braxton and Has all hit the portal and did a kumbaya circle and said, "Oh man, we just love playing together so much. Let's go to the same place and run it back in a different uniform." So yeah, I mean, there's obviously something going on here, and yeah, I mean, Lane Kiffin, he's like the Eric Musselman of football. Like he's out in front of it while it's really becoming a thing. He is the importer. I mean, he absolutely is. He just happens to import way more from Fayetteville than other places. But I say that, and he's going to continue to go out and get a bunch of studs. Like I think they either did or they're about to get that running back that everybody wanted, that Arkansas was in on. I saw somebody post in the chat a while ago that Arkansas's got one of these offensive linemen in for a visit, and they offered him while he's on his visit. Like I thought him and Pittman were boys, man, but this is a little bit absurd. And I'll say it for the third time. We're not going to be able to escape the allegations anyway, but I'll say it for a third time. I am looking forward to discussing the additions that these guys make and how it fits and where they slot in and what else they need to do when that comes. But this here it's just it's a unique deal. It's weird. It's eyebrow raising. And it's just something that has to be discussed when it happens, man. And I don't know how you avoid this moving forward. We talked about some of it yesterday. Do they need to sit if they transfer within conference? Is there like a, some kind of financial penalty if you're, it can be proven that you're poaching from a school? I have no freaking clue what it would look like, but there's got to be something for all these smart guys who are supposed to be in charge of this thing that has no rules or regulations to kind of figure out. And then I know it's also frustrating for people, and then I'll shut up, to see like a lot of these big splashes are starting to happen, and you're waiting for it for Arkansas. Like Missouri just got the kid from Mississippi State, like they sucked, but he had damn near 1,000 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns, or, like this is a very good proven player. So for them, like you lose Luther Burden and then you add one of the most productive receivers in the SEC to your roster. You know what I mean? It's like Arkansas loses Andrew Armstrong. You're like, okay, now they need to do that.
Yeah. Which, by the way, sorry to jump in there, but Arkansas did, as we speak, just got an official portal guy.
Good.
We got a portal pop?
We got a portal pop.
Good.
It is Connie Walker, the Oklahoma defensive back.
There you go.
Transferred from Oklahoma. 6'2". He's a junior, 6'2", 205, had 18 tackles, 1 interception. Has played at Oklahoma in 21, 22, 23, and 24. Played pretty much every game last year. So there you go. There's a portal pop for you. Got a little action there from that. And that's also the official Razorback Twitter account putting it out too. So it wasn't even like
signed, sealed, and delivered, eh?
Yeah. So so that's because I was kind of sitting there. I kept double, triple checking. I was sitting there. I'm like, is this for football? Is this making sure it's not something that's like a recruit or a high school? Nope. It is official. So there you have it. There's a nice little portal pop for you. So if you needed some positivity on a day where it's a little gloomy, you got yourself at least a secondary player and a defensive back from an SEC school.
Andrew, are you pulling up them PFF numbers, buddy? Is that?
Well, I'm trying to find him. Did he? Are we sure he played? Yeah, here we are. His PFF this past year, he played 424 snaps for Oklahoma this past year at corner.
Quite a bit.
62.2 overall grade, 69.5 run defense grade, 60.2 coverage grade. Yeah, he certainly played football last year. There's no doubt about that. This guy 100% played football in the SEC this past season. And look, I say that kind of jokingly, but seriously, like when you're, like I've said a few times now, when you're Arkansas, you're not in a position to kind of be picky. Arkansas is going to need to get some big splashes in the portal, but they're also going to need to get guys like this that are just simple depth pieces. And it kind of he's kind of in the same ilk of a lot of the transfer guys they brought in last year, like a Danico Slaughter, Miguel Mitchell type of vibe, where like played, older, experienced, probably not a game changer, not going to like turn your entire program around, but a guy that has some experience, an older guy, played a decent amount. You don't really get to be too picky about it. So look, that is a move. That's a move that Arkansas needed. I mean, look, Arkansas's got they're going to have to replace, they're going to have to fill a lot of holes in that DB room. And I would really like to see them go out there and get like a big splash, like that UAB safety who canceled his visit and went to Missouri. That's like a legitimate splash that you need. You need a guy like that. But you also need guys like this, because Arkansas is in a position where, of course, you want to go out there and get the big stars, but you also just have to fill out your two deep because there's a lot of holes. And so this is a guy that will absolutely be in Arkansas's two deep. Let me see if I can pull up his career snap count real quick.
I'm going to talk while you do that. This is good experience, not only in the SEC, but also, Brent Venables, he knows what he's doing on the defense side of the ball. So it'll be a guy who's well coached. And so that should be helpful. You were right. They've got a lot of work that they have to do in the secondary, really at all spots there. But just looking at this, I'm just looking at his game logs from this year. Looked like a guy who was maybe really in the rotation or starting early in the year. Like he got an interception against Temple in week 1. Then he had 4 tackles, 5 tackles, 3 tackles, passes defended, over the course of the next few games there. And then it looked like a pretty sharp drop off in production, although he was playing. So I don't know if he got overtook there on the depth chart, maybe at Oklahoma or what that looked like. But if you're looking at his snap counts there, I wonder what it looked like from a game by game basis if it dropped.
Well, I can tell you. So he started all but the last 3 games. So it looks like he lost his starting job the last 3 games. And so then the last 3 games, he played 14, 15, and then 6 snaps. I will also clarify that he graded out a lot better last year when he was playing. I mean, he played similar snaps. He played 428 last year, 424 this year, which, by the way, nothing to scoff at, like, at all. Like, I mean, 1,000 career snaps for a defensive back. Like, you need to replace a lot. His overall grades were a lot better. He was up 69.3 last year, and it dropped to 62.2 this year. And yeah, it looks like he lost his starting job there at some point. But a guy, and he's a corner, like a legitimate corner. Like he just rotated left and right corner. Like he hasn't played. It's not like a nickel safety. He's just a corner. And Arkansas needs corners. I mean, you get Selman Bridges back. You hope he can take that next step and be, in your 2 deep at corner next year. I think he was in the 2 deep this past year even. So yeah, if Arkansas can go out there and get one more for sure lockdown starting corner, this guy seems like a fringe SEC starter corner, which look, again, I was just saying, I'm tired of seeing them getting group of 5 guys. This is a guy who's played a lot of snaps at the Power 4 level. Again, not like a game changer, but plenty of experience, and we'll see if Arkansas can get something out of him.
I know. I bet John has something to say here, but can I give you an assignment to keep looking on PFF while he does this? Just wondering, like, comparatively speaking, with those PFF grades, where this guy might stack up to, Cuddy and Singletary and some of those dudes Arkansas had this year.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to throw in too with Arkansas originally, with this kid coming out of high school, he enrolled at Louisville, is what he ended up doing. But Arkansas was very high in the running in his recruitment. Barry Odom was one of the lead recruiters on him, and looked like, at least according to the articles here, that Arkansas was in his final 3. So, there was at least some sort of connection there. I know Barry Odom's no longer at Arkansas, but at least in the high school ranks, he was recruited there. And then, of course, transferred to Oklahoma. And now he's heading to Arkansas and all of that. So assuming that's, always want to make sure it's like the same player. Is it the same player? Yeah, it's the same player. So, but yeah, you got a guy that, is this going to move the needle for everybody just to go freaking out, be like, holy crap, here we go. But hey, I would rather have a guy who played in the SEC and played a role in the SEC and had stats in the SEC and knows the SEC than not. I'm okay with this. It's not, it doesn't cure all ills when it comes to your secondary, but it's a nice start, and you got to build a foundation somewhere. So might as well start building it in this way.
I think that's the appropriate way to look at it. And look, I mean, Sam Pittman said they were going to bring in 20 to 24 transfers is what he said. I think that number also might end up growing a little bit because their transfer exits is going to end up around 30, 32. Now, you obviously don't have to replace every single one of those. Some of those are guys that you're kind of content to let leave. But so, yeah, I mean, with 20 to 24, let's say they bring in 22 transfers, you'll have some big ones, but like you really do just need guys who have played experience that can just fill a spot on the roster, fill a spot on the depth chart. At the very least, that's what this guy is. Maybe Arkansas is the team that really figures it out with him, and he's able to like become a legit starting corner lockdown guy. We'll see. I mean, like you said, Curtis, being played for Brent Venables defensively, like that's a nice little feather in the cap, and so that's nice. But I saw some people in the chat asking, by the way, about the UAB safety. What is that cat's name? Adrian Maddox.
Yeah.
Now that's the kind of guy you really want to bring in, but it appears he is not going to be visiting Arkansas. Maybe he'll visit Arkansas later, but he did cancel his visit to Arkansas to go to Missouri. So
quite a change of heart there.
Was this maybe like their backup plan, do you think?
I
mean, different positions.
Maybe.
The Maddox kid's a safety. This is a corner, but
Yeah, maybe, or maybe they've got somebody else that they like got at that position there. I don't know, but this might strike me. It seemed like the kid was excited to be taking his visit to Arkansas, and then a few hours later it wasn't happening. So whatever, take that for what it's worth. What I will say to maybe keep an eye on now, like you just got this kid who's visiting from Oklahoma, the corner. You also have a wide receiver visiting from Oklahoma as well.
Yeah.
So, like, can you get a 2-for deal? Can you do to Venables what Lane Kiffin's doing to you? Although maybe not at the exact same level, but JJ Hester, wide receivers visiting Arkansas, like the numbers aren't going to just jump off the page there, but he had 14 receptions this year, 315 yards and a touchdown. And so you might look at that and go, all right, well, that's not very good. But then also, that was a weird situation at Oklahoma. Like, I'm not trying to gas this dude up or anything. I'm just saying, like, they didn't really have a quarterback. All their receivers were hurt at different times. Like, it was just the offense was kind of a shit show over there. So maybe this dude is a little bit better than that, but it's production to replace that you kind of lost maybe. So we'll see. But he started his career at Mizzou and had 12 catches for 225 yards and a couple tutties. And it looked like he missed maybe a year with injury. So I don't know. But at any rate, another Oklahoma guy, when you just get a commit on a visit and you got another guy visiting from the same school at the same time, you keep an eye on it.
For sure. And I mean, now Oklahoma, I believe like their entire receiving core, them and Kentucky, like had like a combined like 11 or 12 receivers enter the portal, something crazy like that. So I think it does kind of touch on your point that like something weird was going on at Oklahoma. But yeah, with Hester, played a little under 200 snaps his freshman year at Missouri, where he had a decent production for a freshman. Then played 54 snaps in 2022, 24 snaps last year in 2023. I think that's when he got injured. But then he jumps up 467 snaps this past fall. And so yeah, some production to build on. And again, look, I keep saying it, Arkansas doesn't get to be picky, especially in the receiver room. Sure, you'd like to bring in a guy that's really going to replace Andrew Armstrong and be a legit go-to threat, and we'll see if Arkansas is able to do that. But you need like 4 or 5 receivers, and I think Hester, if nothing else, is a playable SEC receiver, just like the defensive back guy is a playable SEC defensive back. You got to take as many of those as you can, and I know that's not going to like excite the fan base necessarily, but that's the situation Arkansas is in. They just need to kind of rack up some of these guys, and then you got to go see if you can make a big splash. But anytime you can get guys that have actually played in the SEC and that can help you at all, you got to go ahead and get them.
Yep.
So as of right now, I guess, and I know this is so far down the road, secondary players for Arkansas next season. I guess you got Selman Bridges and this guy. I mean, it's pretty much it. Connie Walker. Unless Hudson Clark really comes back. Unless Hudson Clark actually comes back, which I don't think he will.
Also, is anybody in the chat listening to what we're saying? Because they're like, hey, we talk about the OU kid. Talk about Broussard. It's like, we that's what we've been doing for the last 15 minutes.
I think what some people are probably doing is seeing that like hopping in, seeing that, they're talking about a commit now. I didn't want to listen to them talk about Lane Kiffin fleecing us. Gotcha. But yeah, just rewind maybe a little bit. But yeah, we've discussed it all. It was nice that we opened and we were like, listen, we're yearning to talk about some good things here. But we got to talk about the bad things when they happen too. And then a good thing happened while we were talking about the bad, and we did it. So we proved ourselves right in the moment. I like that. We just escaped the allegations,
We just sat here and pretended like 3 guys that like aren't very good at football. We just sat there and really hyped them up, and we're like, yeah, these guys, I'm telling you, they're going to help them in the defensive back room. Say that we are pumping that sunshine.
Yeah, no doubt. And I do want to
portal recap.
Yeah, I do want to. Let's go ahead and do this though, and it's not hating. It's not. Does anybody here view this Oklahoma transfer that they just got? Do you look at him and go, cool, Arkansas is replacing one of the starting corners that they need to replace? I don't feel that way. And maybe that winds up being the case. And if that's true, this dude's probably just as good as anybody else that you threw out there last year. But I'm just saying, like, if you're going to upgrade there in the secondary, which was, it's a big area of need and emphasis. I don't know if it's this dude. Like, I think you still got to go out and get at least one guy who's very clearly better. And it's like, yep, starter, boom, there you go.
So let me ask, if of the people, and I know it's tough to say, but of the ones that Arkansas has lost, whether it's to the portal or to end of eligibility or NFL draft or whatever, like what level would you put this type of commit from Connie Walker on? Would it be is he as good a cut as Cuddy, or is he below that? Is he like did you mention Nico Slaughter? Like, is it that level? Like what kind of
I would say he's Marquise Robinson level.
Yeah.
Like, Marquise Robinson's a little bit different because he came from a smaller school where he was a for sure starter. But I would say, like, if you're he has starts in the SEC. I believe he started like close to 20 games as an SEC corner, varying success levels. But I would say he's on the same level as a Marquise Robinson. Danico Slaughter is a different position, but that kind of level of guy, which, by the way, like, those two guys played a lot of snaps for Arkansas. And were they great? No, but I'm just saying, like, you need guys to just play snaps. And but again, when you let a guy like Braxton walk and you're saying you're not going to pay his price tag, and you're like, okay, well, we can get maybe 2 guys for the price of 1. I think this is the kind of thing you're looking at. So I think you can get this Walker kid, maybe another defensive back who has played a little bit. And I think that's the kind of vibe you're going, which, by the way, guys, the fan base told us the other day that's what they want. They're cool with Sam Pittman's plan of moneyballing it and all that. And so, I mean, look, this is kind of just what you get.
Yeah. And he did say, I mean, he very specifically said, like, yeah, we're going to go out and try to get some dudes, whatever. Maybe we can overpay for a guy or two, but we're also going to have to fill out the roster. He did say that. So there are going to be additions, and I'm not saying this guy even necessarily fits into that category, but there's going to be some additions here where you're like, okay, so what? Well, that's just kind of what they have to do, and then you hope that they follow through on getting the dudes that they say they're going to get. And again, people can make up their mind whether they want to trust the process and be patient and wait it out, or if they're going to be skeptical and say, yeah, right, it ain't going to happen. Choose your own path. This is the kind of move where it doesn't like change my mind about anything. It doesn't make me think like, oh, things are great, but it also doesn't like, it's not like a cause for concern. Cause like I said, even if you get really top level portal guys, you still need some guys like this to fill out the depth chart. One I'm kind of wondering about is the JUCO defensive back. I forget the kid's name. It's like Avila or something. It's an interesting name. One that was supposed to, like the number one defensive, number one corner from the JUCO level. Cause he visited last week. And so I know he is kind of making his decision. I thought his decision would have come by now. So I don't know what the situation is there. Hopefully you're still able to get that guy. If you get the JUCO guy and you add this guy and you have Selman Bridges coming back, that's not like a foolproof like SEC defensive back room, but I would say you're like one corner away, one legitimate starting corner out of the portal away from being set at that position. Then you need to go get some safeties. Safety was one of the first positions Pittman brought up the other day when they asked him about what they needed to attack. He's like, we really need some safeties because obviously you're losing Metcalf. You're losing Jaden Johnson, who has been a mainstay at the defensive back for Arkansas. And so, yeah, I think I'll be interested to see what all they're able to accumulate there. But the reality is you're not going to be able to get difference makers at every position. And I think Arkansas probably is thinking, hey, maybe we can spin big on some O-linemen and some wide receivers and then just kind of get any playable defensive backs they can get. Which, by the way, guys, I do want to go ahead and clarify. Travis Williams last offseason let a lot of guys walk from his defense and replaced them with just kind of the most average portal guys he could find. And it worked out for the most part. Like Arkansas's defense was, they had some really good moments. It won them some games. So I think we've seen that Travis Williams is kind of okay with letting guys walk and then just filling in with whoever. And he's just like, I'm going to run my defense. And if these guys can figure it out, they'll be all right.
I'm also, when we talk about overpaying for players at this point, I really hope that they overpay for an offensive lineman. That's what I'm wanting to overpay for. Like overpay for an offensive lineman, overpay for a safety or secondary player. And then, maybe after that, you can try to put the pieces together. But I want to see an overpaid player where you can tell that this is a big time player who had a lot of different places and you had to pay a ton of money for him. So I want to see one of those at least. Give me an overpaid player so I can know exactly where your thought process is on this of saying like, okay, we feel so strongly about this dude that he's going to make that big of a difference that we are going all in on him and bringing him in and making sure he doesn't go anywhere else. I want to see that at some point in time here in the next few days. Hopefully that happens.
I see KJ. I don't think this is KJ Jefferson. He says, we need a quarterback. Not sure why you guys can't see this. Just this Jalen, what's his face, is a turnover machine with a janky throwing motion. Well, look, here's the situation that Arkansas is in. Whether or not you're correct on this, because look, I think the entire fan base, it's not like everyone's sold on Taylor Green. Arkansas is not pursuing a top transfer quarterback. Like they upped the bag to make sure that Taylor Green didn't transfer. And look, that's the situation. Like I could even hear an argument for why Arkansas needs to bring in a quarterback, but it's not happening. Like they've kind of made their bed at that point, and like they have their quarterback, and you got to go out and fill out the rest of the roster. Because I mean, again, you get a nice DB today, you got 2 safeties to go get, you got maybe 1 more linebacker to go get, you got about 4 defensive linemen to go get, you've got minimum 2 or 3 offensive linemen to go get, minimum 3 receivers to go get, maybe a running back. I just don't think you're going to be able to spend money on a quarterback, especially when you already spent money on a quarterback because they upped the bag for Taylor Green this offseason. So I would love to live in this world, but it's not the world we live in. Arkansas is not going to get a quarterback.
I'll also say this about Taylor Green. I get it with all the questions about his play and inconsistency or whatever, but the one thing Taylor Green does have is home run capability, the ability to improvise, the ability to make something out of nothing. When you have no idea at this point what any of your weapons are going to look like, what any of your protection is going to look like, you want a quarterback who can go rogue and go off script and make plays.
Yeah.
So I am not saying Taylor Green is the perfect quarterback, but he might be an ideal type of quarterback for the situation that you're currently in.
And also, like, he's not even like a quarterback's like not even in the top like 10 of position needs that Arkansas needs to address. Like they've got a lot of things to figure out. I'm interested to see like some of these offensive moves. I mean, the Sheffield kid's been on campus. I think he finishes up his visit tomorrow.
I really hope they get him, man.
I know. I would really like that. You want to talk about a portal addition that'll really move the needle? DT Sheffield from North Texas would be one where I'd be like, okay, we're cooking now. There's something going here. We can get excited about that. But until then, I think we're looking at a lot of just kind of fill out the depth chart pieces.
We'll go through some of your chats. I know we'll wrap up because Razorback basketball does have a game today at 3:00, folks. So be sure to tune into Pot at the Palace post game for that.
Can we turn the Pot at the Palace post game into a live commitment thing if something pops? Should we get a graphic ready for that just in case?
The question should be, can we do 2 lives at once?
I've always wondered about this. Probably not.
I wouldn't think, but this day and age, technology, man, you never know. But I did want to bring this up with Logan, who's always a great chatter for us and everything. But he says, OU Twitter is clowning us for taking this kid. And I see it too. But here's the thing, Logan, that I always look at. I'm not saying that they're wrong, but if you look at the stuff with Haz or the stuff with Braxton, there's Razorback fans clowning, be like, oh, this guy didn't even play. He was hurt, or, he's good luck with this injured or prone guy. Like, it's just what players or what fans are going to do towards players in a lot of cases. So again, I'm not saying that will be great, but it happens.
They're like, wow, they're taking this kid. This kid sucks.
Yeah. They'll be like, no, please don't ever please don't take him. That's not really going to happen as often. Zach, I don't know which one of you guys highlighted this one, but said, thoughts on Braxton saying his injury, which was a patella fracture, was misdiagnosed by us as a bone bruise, and then he had to go to his own doctor.
Yeah, that's tough. That's interesting. I mean, just having a little bit of background knowledge on how things like this work. If there's anything at all involving a bone, the first thing they do is an X-ray, and an X-ray doesn't always tell the tale. And then so maybe if you are then still concerned, like it's not getting better or whatever, like some other signs start to show. Then you go and do some follow-up scans or some more in-depth scans to find out. If they were just not wanting to do that and he had to go see his own doctor to get that done, to get the actual diagnosis, that's not, that's not a good look at all. And it would be something, frankly, that I would transfer for too. Like if I felt like I didn't get the care that I was supposed to get, or I made something worse because it wasn't diagnosed correctly or anything like that. So, that's interesting. Like we've heard the misdiagnosed thing. I don't know. I don't know if that's factual or not, but I will say, it was either that or something crazy going on behind the scenes, because we all remember how Sam Pittman handled it in terms of talking about it. It's tendonitis. Nah, just kidding. It's a bone bruise. And then after that bye week, he was like, he's got a leg. And again, like then all of a sudden you find out that he's 6 weeks down the road from whenever this happened, and he hasn't touched grass. Like he's been on an underwater treadmill, and he's like, oh, he was on the field for the first time today after a month and a half. And it's like, so what the hell was really going on there? So would it surprise me if that was actually a thing? No.
Certainly wouldn't surprise me. And also, look, I don't know whether or not it's true. I'm not going to sit here and throw the athletic department under the bus, the athletic training staff, or any of those guys. But based on just Pittman's comments publicly, like you said, Curtis, definitely makes it easy to believe something weird like that happened. I think that's also a factor to watch with Kudus, because, again, y'all remember when Kudus was initially hurt and then he returned to practice and then they sat him again. So it seems like there was a little something weird going on there. And obviously his injury ended up being a much longer ordeal than we expected. Now you can make the case, were they just sitting out because they wanted to go to Ole Miss? Like potentially, but I don't know if it was that early in the season that they had made up their mind. But whether or not they actually misdiagnosed it, it was definitely a point of contention and something that absolutely contributed to them, to Braxton in particular, transferring out. And so, yeah, sucks. Who knows? I mean, we'll probably never get. It's kind of a little bit of a he said, she said thing, but I think it definitely contributed for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt it can come to this. There's no doubt that there was something weird going on with the entire situation. There was something weird about all of it, and none of it added up, and none of it made sense. Just I don't know. The higher ed guy says, "What is your guys' reaction to be called arrogant turds by some, thinking you know more than the coaches in these situations?" Somebody got called arrogant turds.
I'm sure we do a lot. I don't know.
I mean,
people
know
do
where
that a lot where they'll be like if we're critical of something, they're like, "Oh, y'all think y'all know more than the coaches," and it's like, well, not exactly, but I mean, Sam Pittman himself, like he does press conferences regularly. You can see what he says in these press conferences and how his tune changes throughout. So I'm not saying that I know more than Sam Pittman, but Sam Pittman clearly doesn't know what's going on with his football team sometime if he had all these guys that he was expecting back that are not back. Not saying I know more, but there's clearly something going on there.
Yeah, and there are plenty of places you can go where you might just get a little bit of baseline information and then no nuanced discussion about it or what it means or what could be going on. If that's what you're looking for, I could probably direct you to a number of places. Like when things happen, we talk about it and we give our opinions, and sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong, but it's just kind of what we do. That's the nature of the job. And I'm not sitting up here pounding myself on the chest, patting myself on the back saying, "Oh yeah, I'm right, you're wrong. The coaches are dumbasses." And no. If I agree with something, I say I like that. If I don't, then I don't. But yeah, I think honestly, if anybody said that, they can kind of kiss my ass. I mean, I don't really care.
I don't really care. Yeah. The guys, somebody just sent me this tweet. Do you guys remember Andrew Parker?
Oh yeah. Andrew Parker hates quarterbacks. I remember him.
He just tweeted out, this was at 11:45 this morning, so about an hour ago. Says, not surprised with them transfers out of Fayetteville. Dude can't properly utilize talent to save his life. That's what he had to say. So,
wow. Now,
for what that's worth.
Andrew Parker had an interesting little run, and it wasn't surprising when he left. So I don't know. I'm not going to say Andrew Parker knows everything and is like the end all be all, but that's never a good thing when you have former players trashing the program.
No, usually not a good sign or anything like that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting here the next couple of days. But you had some positive stuff happen too. You got yourself a secondary player, and now it's just a matter of the waiting game. I don't think you can lose any more transfers. Maybe you can. I guess technically you can, but you should be numb to that by now, folks. You should be numb. But we either way, no matter if it's a player leaving or a player coming in, we're going to be talking about it here on Inside Arkansas and going to be doing some transfer portal action and everything. So, guys, any final thoughts before we hop off of here and hopefully just get ready for a basketball game against UCA?
I am sure that we will be seeing you folks again multiple times this weekend.
Yep.
And I look forward to it.
You'll definitely be seeing us again. I have one final thought though, John. I don't want to say hey, we're fanboys here, but John went to the University of Arkansas. Curtis was born and raised in Arkansas. I guess you weren't born in Arkansas though, right? Were you born in Arkansas, Curtis?
No, I moved when I was.
But you were raised in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so not born and raised, and obviously has lived in Arkansas for a while. And I grew up being the biggest fanboy of all time, wearing hog masks and everything. All three of us love the program. And so it always kind of rubs me the wrong way when people comment and be like, "Man, you guys just love being negative. You love trashing the team and whatever." And it's like, look, we love the program, and that's why we get frustrated when we feel like things are going poorly. That's why we talk about it. And it is funny that we don't get those same accusations with basketball and baseball usually. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. But I would just like to point out that, guys, we're kind of in the same boat as you. We just want to see this program succeed. We want to see this program thrive. We sometimes feel like it's not going that way, and we get annoyed, and that's why we talk about it. But that's not our way of trying to trash the program. If we wanted to trash the program, I feel like we would just cover not this team, if we really felt that way about Arkansas. But I understand everyone views it through their own lens, but I'd just bear with us. We're just trying to cover this the best we can. And this is just how we feel. And you're not inside. You don't have to feel the same way we feel, but this is how we feel. And we're just offering our opinion, our perspective on it.
Yeah. After they beat Tennessee, we spent an entire show talking about their path to the college football playoff.
Literally.
We want them to be good.
I hate you all. So, anyways, but yeah, we're going to have plenty of stuff to discuss with anything that ever happens. Again, Portal Pop. And so subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas. Be sure to check out our website at InsideArkansas.com. Follow us on social media at Inside Arkansas. And we will keep it going. So for Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel whenever the next thing happens. So no matter what, we'll see you then.